This is coming up at the end of the hour. On the Grand Poobah, the guy that says that basically anybody and everybody in the Patriot movement except him is a agent of the Vatican. Now that's pretty funny, because so it's very important to understand that people want to undermine movements and want to claim the people that are effectively exposing the New World Order that we're all the agents. And notice, we are never out doing that. And then 9 times out of 10, we find out those saying this about us, they are the agents. It's just that this is a great wedge issue to try to somehow energize evangelical Christians into attacking Christian leaders like Tex Mars and others. So it's just more infighting, more divide and conquer. We won't spend too much time on that, maybe 5-10 minutes, but it should a very serious discovery that has been made. But I don't want this individual's name uttered on my show, because before I even knew who he was, he called me, emailed me a bunch like 4 or 5 years ago, and the first email I saw was, "How dare you? You've refused my interviews. You're clearly a Vatican agent. If you don't interview me within 1 week, I will expose you." And I was like, "Well, I'm not gonna do that. Though I would like you to expose the place of the Vatican in the whole New World Order with us today. We're not bashing Catholics, folks. This thing has taken over everything. But I think it's important to also show that." But then I learned this individual says I'm a white supremacist. No, it's not about me. He says he's a white supremacist. Well, he says that blacks should be put in their own country. He says that Catholic priests do black magic rituals in aircraft and fire power beams down, that's what nuclear bombs are. And he's clearly trying to discredit the whole movement. I mean, only a 2-year-old would not see this, but I've ignored it. And then the people that are his followers, who are well-meaning idiots, I go, but do Catholic priests do black magic? I mean, is the earth on a string? He says that the earth is on a string in the center of the universe, and that they drop nukes on ley lines with masonic power beams. I mean, you can't make this up, so that's coming up.
Went over to Israel and was on Israel national radio. So he was chosen, you see. And it turns out, and by the way, he blasts anybody, this person that you're talking about, who supposedly has been exposing the Vatican Jesuits. He will blast anyone who exposes Zionism. And I always wondered about that. But I got his book, and it was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the Jesuits have done everything from killing JFK, World War I, World War II, World War III. I mean, it's almost incredible. But the big thing about this individual, he goes from the Jesuits to start attacking anyone who says that 9/11 was an inside job. Oh, they're Vatican Jesuit. It's very interesting, too, though.
Well, that's because all evil can only flow from the Vatican.
Well, yeah, that's his theory. But it's very interesting, too, though.
Well, that's because all evil can only flow from the Vatican.
Well, yeah, that's his theory. But
not even in fighting here. That means fighting people who are in the Patriot movement or the Awakening movement. And I wanted to get into this later, but Texas is just getting into it now, so we can. I also want to get into the economy and your take on the election. But there are people out there, and the kingpin of this literally says that nuclear weapons, and I challenge people to counter me on this, they won't, because he's got quite a following. They do black magic rituals in Foo Fighter flying saucers. I'm not joking. And that they drop these things on ley lines, and they can only drop nukes on ley lines because that's where their black magic power works. Now, he also says the Earth is on some type of meridian, Tropic of Cancer. I don't know what that means. And it's on a string, and the Earth goes up and down on a string, and the universe orbits it. And I mean, that's all. He can't believe that. I mean, that's meant to discredit what he's saying. And then blacks need to all be sent to their own country. He says, I'm a white supremacist. And then he goes and says, and we're Nazi Vatican agents who are working for the Nazis. And then again, neither one of us are Catholic. I mean, you actually married my wife and I. know you're a Protestant.
Sure,
you're a retired Air Force officer and a space and aeronautics professor. And I just ignore this stuff. But then I did start noticing that, like, the Israeli government and people have this guy on. And then you discovered that he's actually in the pay of some of the Israeli folks, and kind of leads a double life. And that's really what I...
Now, there's certain Jesuit temple coadjutors that want to tell you that Jerusalem is a city. And one of these temple coadjutors is Tex Mars. And will tell you that Jerusalem is a city on 7 hills. And if you check your International Standard Bible Encyclopedia, you'll find that Jerusalem was built on 5 hills. So don't let anybody get away with that argument that Jerusalem is built on 7 hills. So Rome is the one that's built on 7 hills. Its colors are scarlet and purple. and the merchants of the earth ultimately go back to be subject to her jurisdiction. Way today, the powerful Jews of the world, the Greenspans, the Kissingers, the others, they have no king but Caesar. They all serve the Pope. So what I want to alert you to is don't fall prey to the doctrine that the Jews rule the world, because this is Jesuit sophistry, for lack of a better word. And so as a result of this, then we have all sorts of pagans that ultimately are the foundation for the doctrines of fascism and Adolf Hitler. And then, of course, the Prussians, they were apostate. In fact, they had the first anti-Semitic Congress in Dresden in 1880, 1890. And that was where the most powerful Masonic lodges were. And one of the 99 lodges was in Dresden. Hitler was a member of one of the lodges in Dresden. It's all Masonic, and therefore this Masonic is Gnostic, it's rationalistic, and therefore will ultimately deny the Word of God. And once you deny the Word of God, that it's not the Word of God, it will ultimately bring a false peace to the nation of Israel. So what the devil wants us to do in the destruction of our nation, he wants us to go against the racial Jews. And this we cannot do. And anybody who advocates this, like Tex Mars and Michael Collins Piper and other Jesuit coadjutors you're going to find in the short wave, you have to resist them in this. And you have to show that the Jews involved in this are all subject to the Vatican.